Hi everyone, this is Heather Havenwood. I'm trying these Facebook Live things on 12 o'clock Eastern. Hey, welcome. So I'm going to talk to you about how to get on a podcast, because here's why I think podcasting is so amazing. Yes, it takes your time, but it's basically publicity for you and your business and your message, whatever that message it is. It could be UFOs, it could be how to build a business, it could be dating, it could be whatever it is. Podcast is so awesome. So in August of 2015, I started focusing on how to be a guest on podcasts. I focused 100% on how to be a guest on podcasts. I didn't focus on how to build a podcast. I focused, I built a podcast I tried to build a podcast back in 2013. I failed miserably. And that's okay. So I stopped it. And back in 2015, in August, I woke up and said, I'm going to focus on podcasting as being a guest. And so that was my goal. And so I really looked at the art of why people said yes to me versus somebody else, or why they choose me. And the goal of that was to make sure that I give a ton of value, right? So here's 3 things you need to be actually, there's a few more, but 3 things you need to be a guest on a podcast. Number 1, you got to have a message. You got to have a message. Whatever that message is, got to be distinct. Can't be like save the world. It's got to be very distinct. So my message that I focused on was how I went from bankruptcy to sexy boss, right? And how I overcame that. How I overcame a catastrophe in my life financially and mentally and emotionally, and how I overcame that and where I'm at today, and how I started a business from nothing. So it's very distinct. I've also moved away from that, from different things. I've also now gone to don't wait for perfect, focus on starting your business. When you're on a podcast, you want to focus on pretty much one message. But if you have at least one message, you're going to be in a podcast. So that's the first thing that you need. The second thing you need is a microphone. So you don't need a lot, very expensive, but you do need a microphone. I have a Blue Yeti. Can you see that? And headphones. That's it. That's all I did. I go right into my Skype, right into my computer, and bam, there we are. So that is how I got started. One, I focus on my marketed message. Who am I going to be speaking to? What is my message? How much value can I actually spend and focus on for their guests? That's a question I asked. When I got on the podcast with the host, I would say, hey, thank you for saying yes to me, but I just want to make sure who's listening, what's your intention of the podcast, and make sure that I'm on point for their show. It is their show. My job is to add value to their show, not just focus on my message. Okay, so that's the number 1, message. Number 2, technology, which is super simple, right? Super simple, which is again, back to this, a Blue Yeti. All right, that's number 2, and I could go into details on why that one or why I chose that one. You plug it right into Skype, but I don't know. And then number three, the third thing you need is a media page. Now I could go tons into this, and this is actually what I'm writing a book about this, and I kind of want you to know from you, does this excite you? Is this something that you want? I think it's very hot. So just to let you know, from August 15th until now, I've been, I think, over 120 podcasts at this point, but I started counting the 100 in January. So from August 15th to January, I was on over 100 podcasts as a guest. So technically, that is a potentially up to 100 hours of free publicity. What I mean by free is yes, I gave my time, but really it's the host that's doing all the legwork, right? And then I promote it. I always promote anyone who puts me on their podcast. I promote them. I think that's a huge integrity issue, and people do not promote their own work, because why would you not promote a podcast that you're talking about yourself? Hello, like that's just sales, right? So I always promote, always promote anyone that has me on their podcast. And I always ask people if they come on my podcast that I just started in June, that they promote their own work, right? That they did. So I always have that as a reciprocation. So number 3 is media page. I can go in more detail about that, but go to heatherhavenwood.com/media page. The key pieces of the media page, and I'll probably do the Facebook live on this, the key pieces of a media page is to, drum roll, to make it easy on the host, okay? That's the intention of a media page. Let me explain to you. As now a host myself, when I say, hey, I love doing my podcast, okay, and people send me different Google Docs, Dropbox docs, Amazon S3 docs of their bio or their, oh my God. And then at the time, after the rendering of the podcast, I got to go find all that. No. Give me one link. Go to heatherhavenwood.com/media. It has my bio, cut and paste. It has images. There's 3 images. I give them the option based on their marketing. They choose the one that's best for them. I give them high resolution. I give them everything they need on one URL. So they can literally give that over to an assistant or whoever, an admin, and say, there you go. And I think that's a really key piece because for me as a host, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I get people say, oh, here's my Amazon. I'm like, now I got to create a folder for you. Now I got to figure all this out and place it in a place and my admin can find it. And I find it annoying. So if you're going to be a great guest, which I highly suggest you do, don't go out and start a podcast. I'm not a big component of that. I'm like, how I learned the business of podcasting, that particular medium, which is a particular medium. I was first a guest, and I focus on adding value to other people. You know, that's what I focus on. How can I add the most value to this podcast and to this host and to their listeners? Because I want them to ask me back. Right? I think that's a key piece. Someone told me that a long time ago. The reason I think I'm great, like a seminar business, is that I produced over 450 seminars. And I also was a speaker, but I didn't start at the front of the stage. I started at the back of the room and learned the business that way. Many times you see actors and actresses learning more when they're director. When they become the director and the producer, they learn so much more as an actor, as an artist, when they understand what's behind the scenes and how things work. So I think this is the same thing here. If you want to be if you want to focus on get a podcast in the future, great. How you do it is go be an amazing guest. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Put down some comments down below. And I've just been really focusing on how you can add as much value as you possibly can as a guest on a podcast. And I love podcasting. It's a ton of fun for me. And the key piece is I don't have to get my makeup on. I don't have to do anything. I can be at the house and add value. So again, check this video out again. Go back to the beginning. I gave you 3 things that you need to start right now to be a guest on a podcast. And myself, I'm always looking for amazing guests that can add a ton of value to me and to my guests on my audience on my podcast. There you go. Have fun. Bye.